Watch the video until the end, because by the time it's over, you'll wonder how you've spent all this time without knowing these important tips. Eating leftover eggs can actually be dangerous for you. Here are 12 general tips and tricks that can make your everyday life easier and safer. Don't reheat certain foods. Foods like eggs, rice, and potatoes can develop harmful bacteria or toxins when reheated improperly. Consume them fresh or store them correctly to avoid risks. Use lemon for cleaning. Lemon is a natural deodorizer and disinfectant. Rub a slice on cutting boards or inside the microwave to eliminate odors. Maximize toothpaste usage. Roll up the tube from the bottom to ensure you get every last bit of toothpaste, saving both money and waste. Save your smartphone battery, keep your brightness low, and close unnecessary apps to extend your phone's battery life during the day. Prevent avocado browning. Brush leftover avocado with lemon juice and wrap it tightly to slow the oxidation process. Declutter using the 80/20 rule. You likely only use 20% of your belongings 80% of the time. Donate or discard items you haven't used in over a year. Enhance Wi-Fi signal. Position your router in a central location and keep it away from walls or metallic objects for better coverage. Boil water faster. Add a pinch of salt or cover the pot with a lid to speed up the boiling process. Test if eggs are fresh. Place them in a bowl of water. Fresh eggs sink, while older ones float. Organize cables with bread clips. Label bread clips with the corresponding device and attach them to cables to avoid confusion. Keep bananas fresh longer. Wrap the stems with plastic wrap to slow the release of ethylene gas, which causes ripening. Sleep better with a routine. Stick to a consistent bedtime and avoid screens at least an hour before sleep for improved rest. These tips are just the beginning. Stay tuned for the main topic. Follow me, because by the end of this video, you'll wonder how you spent all this time without knowing this important information. Eggs are nutritional powerhouses, offering high-quality protein, essential vitamins like B12, D, and minerals like selenium. They're also a low-calorie option that fits perfectly into almost any diet. But the very structure that makes eggs so nutritious also makes them vulnerable to spoilage and bacterial growth when mishandled. The proteins in eggs are sensitive to temperature changes. When cooked and then stored improperly, they become a playground for bacteria such as Salmonella and Staphylococcus aureus, which thrive in moist, protein-rich environments. Now, let's talk about leftovers. Imagine you've made a beautiful, fluffy omelet in the morning, but you didn't finish it. You pop it in the fridge, thinking it's perfectly safe to reheat later. Sounds reasonable, right? Unfortunately, it's not that simple. According to food safety guidelines, cooked eggs should be refrigerated within 2 hours of cooking and consumed within 3-4 days. Failing to do so increases the risk of contamination. But even when stored correctly, reheating eggs can be tricky. Reheating eggs in the microwave is a common practice, but it's far from ideal. Microwaves heat unevenly, leaving cold spots where bacteria can survive. This is particularly problematic for scrambled eggs in dishes with added ingredients like cheese, cream, or vegetables, which can further complicate the reheating process. On the other hand, reheating eggs on the stove at a low, consistent temperature ensures even heating and minimizes risk. Here's a fascinating statistic to drive the point home. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, reports that approximately 1 in 6 Americans, roughly 48 million people, get sick from foodborne illnesses each year. Of these, thousands are linked to mishandled eggs. But why does this happen so often? The answer lies in the misconception that reheating automatically makes food safe. To understand this better, let's dive into some practical examples. Boiled eggs, for instance, are relatively safe as leftovers because their shells act as a natural barrier, protecting them from bacteria. However, once peeled, they should be consumed quickly. Contrast this with creamy scrambled eggs or egg-based dishes like quiche or frittatas, which contain additional ingredients that increase moisture levels and spoilage risk. These dishes are much more susceptible to bacterial contamination when left out or reheated improperly. Here's a light-hearted analogy to help you remember. Think of leftover eggs as a high-maintenance guest. Treat them right, store them promptly, reheat them carefully, and they'll reward you. Neglect them, and you're asking for trouble. But it's not all bad news. Eggs remain one of the most nutrient-dense foods available. They support brain health with choline, strengthen muscles with protein, and even improve eye health thanks to antioxidants like lutein and zeaxanthin. When handled properly, they're a reliable and safe choice for meals. So, how can you enjoy eggs safely? Here are some essential tips. Refrigerate promptly. Store cooked eggs in an airtight container and place them in the fridge within 2 hours of cooking. Reheat wisely. Use the stove for consistent heating. If you must use a microwave, stir the eggs frequently to ensure even heat distribution. Consume within a reasonable time. Leftovers should be eaten within 3-4 days to avoid spoilage. Avoid cross-contamination. Store eggs separately from raw meat or other high-risk foods in your fridge. And here's something most people don't realize. The quality of the eggs you start with matters too. Fresh, high-quality eggs are less likely to carry bacteria, making them safer overall. If possible, opt for eggs labeled as pasteurized, which have undergone a heat treatment to kill harmful bacteria. One common question is whether freezing leftover eggs is a good option. The answer is yes, but only in specific forms. Raw egg whites and yolks can be frozen separately for later use, but cooked eggs often lose their texture and become rubbery when thawed. If you must freeze leftovers, consider egg-based casseroles or baked dishes, which tend to hold up better. Here's a fun fact. Did you know eggs have been a dietary staple for over 6,000 years? Ancient cultures revered them as symbols of life and fertility, but they likely didn't face today's food safety challenges. With modern refrigeration and cooking methods, we have the tools to enjoy eggs safely if we use them wisely. Before we wrap up, let's address one more myth. Does reheating eggs destroy their nutrients? The truth is, while reheating can cause slight nutrient loss, the difference is negligible compared to the potential health risks of eating improperly stored leftovers. The key is finding the balance between safety and nutrition.